Jeannette Goldsmith, and I'm Vice President of Strategic Development Group. We are a location consulting firm that specializes in site selection for companies around the globe. Earlier this year, SDG announced an exciting new strategic partnership with InvestMX. InvestMX is a private investment promotion agency based in Mexico, and today I have the pleasure of talking with Tonatiuh Munoz, who is CEO of InvestMX. Tona, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again, Jeanette, and it's actually an honor to be here with you to probably talk about what are we going to do about this new reconfiguration of manufacturing and businesses all around the globe.
Right, I'm looking forward to that. I'd like, though, to start with just a couple of questions about you, if I can. I know that you've held several leadership roles in investment promotion and economic development. Tell us a little bit about that, and tell us how that experience has shaped your approach at InvestMX.
Yes, I started in early 2000, working for a development group here in my hometown, Querétaro, which is in the middle of the country of Mexico. And we started developing some business parks in the area. And for that reason, I started to have contact with a lot of manufacturing companies from different places in the world. We start working with the automotive industry, which is a very strong industry here in my area. But also we start working with home appliances, with pharma industry, and we do have a very special case with the aerospace industry, because in early the 2000, we were considering, okay, what else needs to be manufactured here in the region? And for different reasons, we saw that the aerospace was an opportunity. So basically what we do, it's a very simplistic methodology, is once we decide which companies or which sector, what industries we want to attract to our area, we go knock on the door and tell them some of the reasons why should be here. So I spent 9 years working for the private sector. Then after that, I was appointed as a Minister of Economic Development for my state. And from there, I held a career of 9 years working also for the public sector, different roles as a Minister of Economic Development, as a Minister of Labor, and also I was in charge of a big branch of the Development Bank down in Mexico. So that gave me the opportunity to keep working with international and domestic corporations, doing some manufacturing, but all over Mexico. So, but that saying, I have experience in both sectors, private and public. And since 2019, we co-founded InvestMX, and now we help companies that want to do some businesses in Mexico to relocate or expand their operations.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Describe for us InvestMX's core mission and maybe how you differentiate yourself from others' investment promotion efforts in the region.
Yeah, one of the things that we learn, especially by working with the aerospace industry, is that you have to provide all the answers to the companies. And what we do is a 360 approach of what we want to share with the companies, but with a very deep and specific focus on building their supply chain strategies and their manufacturing strategies. Because we have been working for the industry. I have a group that they have some background working for the industry, working for logistic companies, working for manufacturing companies, for construction companies. Then we put all that together to provide a reliable solution. And we're not focused just on a specific area. Of course, because of business trends, there are some specific areas in Mexico that right now they're very, and as I excuse myself for the expression, they're very hot in terms of attracting investment. And the good thing is that we have prior experience working all over the country. So we can provide as a tailor-made solution based on what's important for the specific company that wants to operate in Mexico.
Great. Thank you. I think it's always important in our field to be able to listen to our client, understand what they're looking for, and then be able to provide them with consulting and services that they need. That's very interesting. Let's turn a little bit and talk about the future of investment in Mexico. What excites you the most about Mexico right now?
Well, right now it's that there is a lot of things happening. You know, every day, during morning when you watch the news, you see some things happening about tariffs, about incentives, about new industries, about everything that is happening in the world. But at the end, what I consider, and for me it's very important to consider in terms of attracting investment, is that we live on the same neighborhood. Canada, the US, and Mexico, in my opinion, we are meant to be the most important economic bloc in the world. And by doing that, I know each country, they're trying their best to enhance their economy and be very strong. But as soon as we realize that we need to complement each other, I think that's going to be very, very, very powerful for the economic bloc. And what is happening right now in Mexico is that we still have some companies from different parts of the world with three main goals. One main goal is to understand how can achieve and how can be closer to the US market, but also they are considering Mexico as a platform to supply South and see, okay, can I supply to Latin American market from Mexico? And the third, which excited me the most, is that a lot of companies, they're considering the Mexican market as an important market. You know, we're a population of over 130 million people, and there is a steady growth on consumption and steady growth on the economy, on how many cars are we buying, how many home appliances are we buying, how much do we use the airplanes and everything. So Mexico is meant to be the 9th largest economy within the 15 to 20 years from now.
Thank you. It's interesting to me to hear you talk about Mexico and its location, not just in North America, but in South America, Latin America as well. I find that kind of an interesting perspective because, of course, being in North America, we think about Canada, US, and Mexico, and don't always necessarily think about our neighbors to the south. How important do you think U.S.-Mexico relations are right now, especially as we talk about building competitive and resilient supply chains? Tell us a little bit about that relationship and the importance of those relationships.
Yes, I think that will be a right focus to work with, because in my opinion, once we realize that you in the U.S. can do the research and development, you can develop the engineers of a specific product or a process, and you can add more value in that. And because of Mexico positions in different ways, we're competitive to manufacture here, so we can share that cake. I mean, it's a big one, and especially if we're competing with Asia. And not just China, we're now competing with Vietnam, and we're competing with Malaysia, and we're competing with India. Once we realize that each specific country of North America, we have different potential of doing different things, and we complement each other, then I can see that happens. Let me tell you a little story about what happened during COVID. During COVID, we contacted a company from Brooklyn, and they say, okay, we want to manufacture this medical device. So they develop all the engineers, they develop all the products, they do the testing, and then they develop a prototype of the product, and they told me, okay, I want this to be manufactured. So at the end, they realized that we in Mexico, we were ready to manufacture that specific product within 21 days to be ready to set up the molds, to set up the tools and everything to build it, put it together and send it to the US. So that this is a little example of how we can complement each other by working each specific country on the specialty that we have.
What would you like US site selectors or even global investors to understand about doing business in Mexico?
Well, my first comment is that you have, and it is our job, to give you the right idea of what Mexico is, because there's a lot of things going on, and normally you talk about Mexico for different reasons, tourism, organized crime, different things, But once you do a landscaping and you see the footprint of manufacturing in Mexico, first of all, I'll say all the big companies, all the big manufacturing companies are already here in Mexico. I mean, from the automotive side, GM, Ford, Toyota, Honda, they are all here. If you go to the pharma industry, you will see all the labs that they have operations here in Mexico. If you see like more specialized industries as the aerospace, you can find some operations from Honeywell, from Bombardier, from different international corporations doing some specialized manufacturing, or also you can find some engineering here in Mexico. So first, we have to tell you what Mexico really is. As I mentioned, right now we're between the 14 and 15 largest economy. We're ranked at number 12 on international trade. And the most important thing for supply chain and for site selectors is that we have to understand where Mexico is very competitive. I'll say in the near future, advanced manufacturing will be very competitive in Mexico, and not because we can bring the German, the US, the Chinese technology. It's because we have been training a large amount of people in different industries, so we can be ready for that in the near future.
You mentioned this a moment ago when we were talking about competition with Asian countries, but tell us a little bit about the trend towards nearshoring and onshoring, and what has that trend meant for both North America in general as well as Mexico specifically?
Yeah, it means a lot of business. And let me tell you what I say that it means a lot of business is because we have an area here in the company that we try to understand the economic impact of different things. So when we start to reshaping the supply chain and this nearshoring or reshoring concept came to the market, we try to understand where the business was. So we identified like $200 billion of business sending from Asia to Mexico and then later to the US. And that's one of the things that we don't want to happen anymore. So out of those 200 billion, we try to understand which part of the business was susceptible of being manufactured in our country and in our region. So we identified that out of those 200, $184 billion per year can be manufactured within the region. So if we are capable of relocating those operations that right now they use Mexico as just a hub to get there, to get here and then send to the US. And instead of that model, we can reshape the companies from Asia, from different parts. And because they're German companies operated in Asia, US companies operating in Asia, Spanish companies operating in Asia, French companies operating in Asia. If we can tell them, okay, instead of doing that, you can bring some operations to the US, to Canada, and to Mexico, we can, the three of us, we can get a business of 184 billion per year just by doing that. So that's one first approach.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to the last thing I'd like to talk to you about is the partnership that our organizations now have. And one of the things that we're seeing as a site selection firm based in the U.S. is that we have a lot of clients who are coming to us and saying, we need to be in North America. And we now have an opportunity to say, we have a partnership that with InvestMX, we can help you look at Mexico as well as the U.S. and Canada. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing from your side in terms of the partnership with Strategic Development Group.
Yes, we have a saying here in Mexico that we say that there is always three sides of the story. Your side, my side, and the true side. So by making this partnership happening, I think we can bring to our potential clients an expertise, a deep expertise of what's happening in the U.S., that you already have. We haven't developed that. I mean, we know how to negotiate. We know what's important for the U.S. corporations, but you have a clear understanding of the regions, the potential, the industries, the way of doing business in the U.S. And we think we can do that same thing down in Mexico. We know how to work with the government. We know how to work in different regions. We know which companies can be successful in one region on the other based on talent, on operational costs, on manufacturing costs. We have all that understanding of what's happening in Mexico. So those are the two sides. And by doing this synergy, I think we're going to bring to the right solution for our clients.
Thank you for that. That's very exciting. My last question for you is, how does this partnership, in your opinion, enhance your abilities to support companies that are considering investments in Mexico?
Yes. What I was saying, we need to complement economies. And by complement economies, we need to understand the strengths of the US, that you have a lot of them. We have some strengths too. So we mix them and put them together, we're going to have a better result. Also, that happens with this strategy alliance strategy with you, which I see SDG being the expert in the US, learning what the German company they're willing to operate in North America, and probably operating in North America brings to the table an opportunity for engineers, and probably you can locate that engineer centers in South Carolina or whatever region it is you think is the best for doing that. And also for some advanced manufacturing or some basic manufacturing, and you say, okay, it doesn't make any sense to be located in the US, let's take a look in Mexico. And from there, we see the opportunity and we'll provide all the information and the right answers to that specific effort. So I see this happening as a process to provide more robust and a wider solution to our clients.
Thank you. Tona, it's been wonderful speaking with you today. I really appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to hopefully doing this again soon.
Hopefully it will happen. It was my pleasure and my honor to be here with you. And hopefully next time we'll see, we're going to shake hands, because we have now a good piece of business going on between the US and Mexico.
Yes, that would be nice. Thank you.
No, thanks to you.